You? But you're supposed to be dead.
I am dead.
Fly, Grandpa, fly!
Everything is ready, my darling. Do not be afraid. Soon we'll be together again.
This sandwich tastes as dry as hell.
Hello and welcome to Hello, This is the Doom Show. I am Richard. Folks, my grandpa is in the house and his name is Grandpa Jeffrey.
Excuse you, Grandpa Jeffrey.
Oh man, I blew it already.
It's okay.
We haven't talked to each other in a while, so we're a little off. It's only been like 6 months. It's fine. We got this. We are talking about Moonrise Kingdom.
Yes.
Starring Al Lewis from the Munsters. No.
Oh. Wait, we're not doing Moonrise Kingdom? I watched the wrong movie.
Oh no. You watched the Wes Anderson in his white linen suit in the Criterion Closet.
Yeah, and I was like, that's a vampire.
We are talking about My Grandpa is a Vampire from 1992. Yeah, this is a children's film.
Yes.
That good old David Blythe, our friend and yours, very quick to defend a certain scene in one of the movies he made. We'll talk about that in a second. I'm getting ahead of myself. 1992, My Grandpa's a Vampire, made in beautiful, very beautiful New Zealand, and written by Michael Heath. These two gentlemen made a film called Death Warmed Up,
which I know you're a big fan of.
From 1984. It has one extremely problematic moment in an otherwise totally run-of-the-mill splatter horror movie from the 80s. There's a certain convenience store clerk played by a white person portraying a not white person, and it's brutally unfunny and hideous. And for some reason, he defends it in the extras. Like, we played this scene in India and they love it. Really?
They collectively have gotten together and said, we love it, Michael and David.
You guys, you really are funny. You know our humor. No, they were plotting your murder outside the theater, which was also imaginary because you never played that in India. You're a liar. But anyway, I was wonderfully surprised that there were no racial stereotypes in this movie that I could detect, except for Americans.
And vampires.
And the vampires. I can deal with that.
Yeah.
But David Blythe also worked on House 3, the horror show, which he was fired from.
Oh.
Which I like House 3, the horror show. It's a very unusual film. How much of his footage that was there for to direct, I have no idea.
House 3, it's better than House 2.
Yeah, I'm sure there's House 2 defenders out there, but man, y'all are just, you're vibing, and a vibe I can't vibe with. Michael Heath also wrote Next of Kin, the excellent 1982 Aussie exploitation slasher giallo movie.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, whoa, buddy.
Yeah.
And he didn't really do much else. I mean, he did, Death Warmed Up, this, and Next of Kin, a couple other things, but nothing really of interest to us. What a career. 3 bangers.
Yeah, I'm very excited to get into this little slice of heaven. This is a freaking what do you call it? A vehicle for a very special vampire, Al Lewis, our friend from, what was the movie we covered where Al Lewis was the creepy guy.
Frightmare.
Frightmare, oh boy. I think Frightmare made me trust him less because there's moments in this movie where I got really scared for the children.
I remember, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you like showed me that there was a Frightmare one sheet available on eBay with Al Lewis's like horrifying face on the cover art, just like going, and I of course bought it. I've yet to hang it up in my home, but one day.
That'll be your conversation piece. I love it. So Al Lewis is kind of the only actor in this I recognize. When you watch, Australian movies or movies from New Zealand, you'll see the same like 6 people over and over, maybe not even that many, the same 3 people. So I was surprised we didn't have like all these familiar faces from that popping up, but maybe I just also have lost touch with any, New Zealand cinema made after Death Warmed Up.
Well, one thing that I noticed going through everybody's IMDb page is that a lot of them had very minor roles in the Lord of the Rings films, which makes sense, of course.
Nice work if you can get it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to drop a trailer in here. I found a wonderful trailer for My Grandpa is a Grandpa. And here it is.
There are stories told of creatures centuries old, roaming the night, searching for just one thing. Some fun!
Grandpa Cougar, a vampire?
Grandpa. 281 years old,
Mozart, he was a beautiful boy.
but running out of time.
Help me. Save me. I want to fly like Peter Pan with you boys. And now, out into the night.
Grandpa. Now he's cool.
Give me 5, and 5 makes 10,
He's got the wheel.
and here we go.
And he'd be the life and soul of the party if he just wasn't dead.
Sorry, lady. I'm starting to feel very strange.
How strange. Maybe he needs food.
2 raw meat patties?
No!
Die, you monster, die! I am dead.
Grandpa, run!
Follow me, boys. Oh,
Al Lewis from the Munsters is Grandpa. Sometimes grandparents really can be a pain in the neck.
So I backed down. I was going to read the entire Republic.
It's quite long.
It's way over. It just wouldn't be entertaining. So I grabbed the very succinct one from a beautiful website called IMDb. And it goes like this. Sent on a trip from California to New Zealand to visit with his eccentric grandfather, Lonnie discovers that his grandpa is a vampire. Unnerved at first, he soon discovers that his grandpa is a good vampire.
That's it.
That's the whole thing.
Well, it does leave off the fact that his name is Grandpa Cougar, which the Republic Pictures home video VHS tape mentions no less than 3 times. So.
Cougar. There's a really weird review. I'm not going to read it. There's 2 user reviews for this film. And the second one is the person detailing when he rented this film. And it is a very, very strange short story, very detailed about in particular, very unflattering portrait of the person working at the video store. That's just bizarre. And also they hated this movie, which you can't hate this movie.
No.
Oh my God. So here's your spoiler warning. We are totally going to spoil this movie, not the entire movie, but we're going to spoil, the big moments. In order to not do a audio commentary or longer length episode today, we're going to do 10 scenes, 10 key scenes from this film. Jeffrey's picked 5 and I've picked 5. We're going to go back and forth. That way we give you the good stuff and you can go in there and investigate on your own, which, spoiler alert, I kind of recommend this one. Thank you, Severin Kids, for putting this out. So, Jeffrey, you want to open us up? Give us the fun stuff?
You bet. Let's open up with the opening of the film. This is a perfect opening to me. We have like this chill, twinkling Jim Manzi music on the score as Gramps just sort of flies through the air over and down to a carnival. Like this, every movie should start with this specifically. It's just such a good vibe. I'm already smiling. It reminds me a lot of the scenes of the Worst Witch flying around. As she's, have you ever seen The Worst Witch?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. There's just like long, like 3-minute long scenes of her just flying around on her broom across the countryside. And this is much like that. It's not long enough. But it's okay because when he goes down, it's to go to this carnival. He immediately encounters I guess it's his daughter, right? Like the aunt is his daughter, yeah. Yep. Daughter and her kind of boyfriend,
Ernie.
Ernie. And Ernie he hates this man. Even before he knows he's a vampire, he hates this man.
And then the feelings are mutual.
I mean, he is kind of weird, and we learn that he like smells like moldy chops and like is always playing the magic flute. Anyway, Ernie says to him, go buy yourself some Tutti Frutti, and just throws some money at him. But instead of doing that, because he doesn't eat food, he's a grampire. Gramps goes on a dark ride called Davy Jones's Locker. I guess it's like a boat dark ride. And he's going through it, and it's really intense. And he's, I think, in a boat that's right behind two kids. And one of the kids is told by her boyfriend, it's not real. And she says, it is real. Oh yeah, of course. This ride is real. But also, when Gramps is going through this and starts to have like a coronary, we're told that he goes through this ride often. He's known as like the crazy weirdo who rides Davy Jones's Locker. This is our introduction to the film and this character. He's just like this weird old man who can fly and goes through a dark ride to have a heart attack. Great opening.
He gets hit by the car. So he rides out of the ride right while having a coronary on the hood of this little car. And these kids just screaming. It is freaking hilarious. Surprisingly, this movie's going to drop a few great slapstick moments that I was expecting to never crack a smile or laugh during this film, but that is one of the moments that made me laugh. The kid, Lonnie, who's the grandson, he comes back from America. I just want to say, Lietta called this. Have you seen the Scary Godmother movies? The CGI?
No.
Okay. There's an evil character named Jimmy, who is the villain of both of the Scary Godmother made-for-TV CGI movies. And the kid, Lonnie, looks just like him. It's freaking hilarious.
Interesting. I looked at his career. He hasn't done much, though. He was in a movie called The Witching of Ben Wagner, which
I've heard of that.
Yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah.
It was around the same time as this, so
I might have downloaded that and forgot about it. So he's visiting to visit Grandpa because Grandpa's not doing so well. But then he gets treated to something that I want to try, which is Oz dinner. Tell us about Oz dinner.
So this is, I think the first day that he's there. They are treated to this dinner where they are just slopping tomato sauce all over their dishes. I don't even know what they're eating. It's unclear to me.
Oh, I can tell you.
Okay.
It's basically bangers and mash. So it's just sausages and French fries.
Okay. Well, it's largely tomato sauce. They take these wonderful New Zealand containers of ketchup that look just like tomatoes, and they're just like squeezing all of it out. It's at the same time that fake Uncle Ernie comes into the scene. And, you know, like Lonnie and Ken Ziora, his friend, they need to like talk about like whether or not he actually is the uncle, because it seems like him and the aunt, they're like having sex maybe, which is something that these children talk about. But as he's working his way into aunt's bedroom, he does this disgusting like swiping of the food off of their plates. These two children he is not related to by blood. He's just sticking his filthy little Ernie hands into their plates full of sopping wet tomato sauce. It's disgusting.
Yeah, Ernie is my secret hero because he is literally the worst and most repugnant guy in the whole movie.
This is, you know, an adaptation of Dracula that says Dracula's cool and Van Helsing is your crappy uncle.
The line is, Lonnie, do you think Ernie and your aunt are doing it? And Lonnie goes, anything's possible.
Anything's possible in New Zealand.
It's a running joke through the movie, man. Oh my God, it's so funny.
Is he really your uncle?
No.
Ronnie, do you think Ernie and your aunt are doing it?
What?
Do you?
Man, anything's possible.
So they go up to see Grandpa, and, you know, Grandpa's ailing from his heart attack, but these kids, they inspire him. And what happens when they inspire him to get out of his sick bed?
He's really upset that, again, Aunt and fake Uncle Ernie won't let him play his vinyl records. And particularly, he really likes the magic flute because, you know, Mozart, he was a beautiful boy. Does this imply that Grandpa like knew Mozart, was like friends with Mozart?
Yep.
And like was an admirer of Mozart's beauty? I don't know. Anyway, he has the kids put on his record, and he does this wonderful little jaunty dance where he lights candles with his fingers, because in this world vampires have candle lighting powers, and the boys just assume that it's a magic trick, but no, I think it's like one of his powers is vampire. At the same time, like watching him in his like pajamas doing his little dance, the boys don't really know what to do. So it's clear that like they weren't given very good directions at this time, because they just sort of, I think Lonnie starts bringing up his hands and like fake conducting the orchestra. And then Ken Ziora just sort of like starts doing a little ditty. It's great. Then for some reason, the blinds come up and there's sun out there, I guess, and it nearly kills Grandpa. What a scene.
The scene where you can, like, we had audio from that filming that day, you could literally just hear the director like, no, keep dancing. Because every time the camera comes to them, someone points at the kid, the other one, Ken Ziora. Very weird name this kid has. He like remembers he's supposed to be dancing every time they cut to him. And it's so awkward in the best way. It's such a like honest kid thing. It's, oh man, they had no clue what they were doing. It's awesome. But this is where I believe this happens after this, where Lonnie and Kaziora, if I'm saying that right, that they start to think, hey, Grandpa's kind of weird. Maybe he's a vampire. And Kaziora is really pushing this hard. So they decide to test it out by garlic. No. Ooh, holy water. Let's go get some holy water. So the next day or the same day, no idea what time means in this movie. They go to the Catholic church, but Lonnie's not, I'm not doing this. So our pal Kaziora takes a cup and goes in, just a cup from a fast food place, and just dips it right in the holy water, and this priest sees him. And he hides the cup behind his back, and he's like, all right, kid, what are you hiding behind your back? And the kid's like, nothing, sir. He's like, you wouldn't lie in God's house, would you? And the kid's like, it's a milkshake. Okay, show me the milkshake.
Yeah, you get the sense that the priest for a moment is like, oh, it's just a milkshake. Okay.
Man, it's really bizarre. But then he drops the cup and they have to flee. It's a very weird scene.
Like, what is this priest's problem with somebody coming in and taking the holy water? Like, who cares?
I think it's what it's there for. You know, it's a Lost Boys situation. Come on. Grandpa does die. His first death, as opposed to the many deaths we're going to die soon. So they're having a funeral party, and Lonnie's already there, but they invite good old Casiora to come over, and he comes over in his school uniform to grieve with his friend. And we get a character that I was literally begging the movie to not go there. There's a lady who's inebriated at this party. Mm-hmm. She is drunk. And I thought, because she starts flirting, and the boys are trying to have some punch at the punch bowl, get some snacks. Casiora literally is shoving crackers in his mouth or something. And they think this lady's looking at them, flirting with them. Jeffrey, she was.
She indeed is, yes.
Like winking lasciviously, kissy faces, and then literally wagging her tongue at these boys. And I was begging the movie to stop it. It was very upsetting.
Yeah, I don't think we fully highlighted the fact that these boys are like 11 years old.
It's out of control. Out of control. And then the boys start, after the party's over, they start playing a keyboard. Now there's a keyboard left just randomly sitting there, and I wanted to go to eBay and see what these things are worth nowadays. This is a Casio E20. A Roland E20. And let's see. Oh, that's not bad. You can get one for $400.
That's downright affordable.
Yeah, they're right. They jumped to $600 immediately. There must be something wrong with that $400 one. So these boys are, with their dirty fingers, just slamming their fingers all over this keyboard, just destroying it. But it's this. I love this scene with them. Again, kids being kids, just dancing awkwardly. The Lonnie shows off his one sick move he learned from like an R&B video of spinning on one heel and like clapping his hands. And it's just so cute. But unfortunately, or fortunately, it resurrects Grandpa. Their energy feeds him.
You know, it's the magic flute. That's kind of what they were channeling there. The beauty of Kenziora.
Majestic stuff. Okay, so my favorite scene of the movie, except for the scenes that Jeffrey picked, is when the kids and Grandpa go flying. They go flying, because Grandpa reveals that the moonlight gives him power, which is why this movie was originally called Moonrise. Mm-hmm. Very catchy title.
I like it. I mean, Moonlight might have been a good title too.
Yes. Or I'm powered by the moon, said Grandpa.
That one rolls off the tongue.
So Auntie and Ernie are having their date, their special night in, drinking champagne. She's in a very vulnerable place because she just lost her father. I hope Ernie's a nice boy and doesn't take advantage of her. But they're having a nice date, and the boys and Grandpa are flying over the city, flying over whatever in the full moon, and then a cloud covers the moon, and they drop like stones from the sky and hit that metal corrugated roof, and I burst out laughing. It made me laugh so hard. I just loved that. That was my favorite thing. God bless it. And this is what I think. I'm too jaded from Fright House, or was it Frightmare?
Fright House.
Fright House.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is called Fright House, not Frightmare.
Yeah, sorry, Fright House. I must be too jaded because I got so creeped out with him with these boys. And Al Lewis wasn't a bad person. It's just like my grandpa. I would not want to be alone with my grandpa. He was something. Uh-huh. I won't go into it. He was a character, a kooky character. That's putting it as nicely as humanly possible. But yeah, I get so weirded out.
I mean, just listen to Lonnie. Lonnie says that, Grandpa Cougar is his favorite cool guy.
I maybe I'm just jealous. I just have to ruin it because I didn't have a cool grandpa. Damn. So now that they know that Grandpa is a vampire, they have to hide him because Ernie has discovered Grandpa alive and well and vamping, stone cold vamping, and he wants to kill him, wants to drive a stake through his heart. So the boys concoct a way to hide Grandpa. So they take him to Kaziora's house and hide him in the shed. But what happens when they do this?
Well, in the middle of the night, we have Grandpa giving way to his vampiric impulses. He, in sort of a classic Dracula or Salem's Lot tradition, he approaches the window of Kanziora's bedroom and starts sort of like outside of it. And by the way, Kanziora's room is really cool. He's got lots of cool like horror posters up, including I think it's a famous Monsters of Filmland cover with Vincent Price in Madhouse.
Yes.
And then also our girl from Lair of the White Worm, beautiful poster of her in snake form.
That kid's a Ken Russell fan.
This kid is me. I am Kanziora. But so we've got Grandpa Cougar going outside the window, and he says, thirsty, while baring his dentures. And then we do a quick cut to the kitchen where Kanziora is giving him a glass of water.
Dude, that joke hit so hard. I love that bit. That reminded me of like, that would be the best joke in the Disney version of this movie. Like that was a great joke.
Yeah, it feels like a joke that the movie was sold on. Just like, you can imagine the pitch meeting where they're like, he's outside the window, but then he really just wants a glass of water like grandpas do. He does the whole glass of water and then he says, "One more, please."
And Kaziora's dad hears him. He has to pretend he's sleepwalking. I found that part very funny. That was great. Oh, wait, he should have given him the milkshake from the church.
No, that would have killed him.
Oh, right, because there was no milkshake.
There was no milkshake. Wow, he fooled you.
Damn, got me good. So the kids, through an insanely weird thing of Kaziora's family going on vacation, they go to McDonald's. Now, I looked up commercials for New Zealand McDonald's, and I found the most New Zealand McDonald's thing ever. They call it Macca's. So it's called Macca's over there. They call it Macca's. I wish the sign said Macca's instead of McDonald's. That'd be great. But I found a commercial that just lists a bunch of New Zealand things that, people in New Zealand would understand in this jaunty little song. So here's this beautiful McDonald's commercial. It's wonderful.
Kiwis love hot balls, rugby balls, McDonald's, snapper schools, grilled beef, woolly fish, Ronald and raisin beef, chili bins, cricket wins, fasties, doggies, silver ferns, carry trees, kiwi burger, love one please.
With a slice of what is beetroot, 100% pure beef patty, and an egg from Farmer Brown, it's the original kiwi burger.
Swan rice, butterflies, mustard, fishing flies, hokey pokey, Murray hugger, kiwi burger, that's a tucker.
This McDonald's sequence, I can't talk about it. It's too crazy. Jeffrey, you're going to have to handle this one.
Well, so first off, I think, we have to acknowledge this is a full scene in this McDonald's. This is, 1991 prime New Zealand McDonald's. It's a vibe. It's a whole vibe. But off, I just love the fact that this definitely required McDonald's like consent and involvement because it's really, they're putting it on display here. Yep. And so I love that like after fumbling with Mac and Me in the 80s, they're like, we're going to rebound. We're going to bring this around. My grandpa is a vampire. This is the one. This is the one. It's going to work out this time. And it did actually. Yeah. They're part of a great film. We got a cameo here from a weird Ronald statue in the front door that's like waving. We also have a cameo from Captain Crook, a McDonald's character who has sort of fallen by the wayside. But my favorite part here is just what's going on with Grandpa and the kids. Grandpa's not doing so well. They have disguised him in a dirty yellow bucket hat and these big sunglasses. He reminds me a little bit of Christopher Lee in Howling 2 with these sunglasses. Yes. They're not quite as, crazy, but they're close.
They're full on Oakleys. They're like full on that yellow band with the super mirror reflection on the shades. They're pretty styling.
Yeah, I mean, as Lonnie says, Grandpa, you look cool. He doesn't really, though. In fact, he looks like he's dying.
See, that's the thing. One thing we have not talked about is, like, other than the pajamas, Al Lewis, this entire film is in like 17th century garb.
Yeah.
Like, he looks like sort of dressed like a fop, or like someone who would like a courtier or something. It's hilarious.
Yeah, someone who would try to seduce Mozart.
Oh no. Oh no.
So the boys go to the counter and order themselves some Big Macs, but then order some 2 raw meat patties for Grandpa, which they then squeeze into a cup. And, they just say like, well, they should say, they don't, but they should just say like, Grandpa, it's a milkshake. Here you go. They plug his nose because Grandpa doesn't want the blood. So they plug his nose and just funnel it into his throat.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
There is also
crazy.
A sort of closing moment in this scene, which maybe our New Zealand listeners will understand this reference, because I sure do not.
I didn't. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So Grandpa, or I think, Uncle Ernie busts in. That's what happens, and points at Uncle Grandpire and says, "That's a vampire." And some random guy who's eating at the McDonald's just says, "Yeah, mate, and I'm John Collins." And we're supposed to get it. I don't get it. I looked up John Collins, New Zealand, and there was like a politician and I think maybe an athlete. I didn't get much from that.
It's got to be the cricketer.
The cricketer. There you go.
Yeah. But then again, he died in 1943.
Weird.
There's a rugby guy. Yeah.
Well, you know what? It made the New Zealand dads roll over with laughter.
I just wish we had, been raised right.
And we'd know. And we'd laugh along.
That's right. They managed to get Grandpa out of the McDonald's, and they end up at the talent show. So this is a big talent show. One of the characters we've sadly left behind is good old Kazuora's sister, who she didn't even look at Lonnie before she had a crush on him. Or did she see him and describe him as River Phoenix? Or something like that?
Yes. They say he's like River Phoenix. Yeah.
Kid, I've met River, and you ain't no River. All right. No, it was very sweet. But she's doing a sort of a Hawaiian, I'm guessing, or just an islander dance. I got confused because I'm, a goofy white person. When they were dressing up in the leis and everything, I didn't know. I'm having a cultural brain fart, so just ignore me. But anyway, they're doing a song on stage, and of course, Grandpa crashes it, literally destroying the stage. And then the cop who's been trying to catch him and Ernie end up flying through the air and hooked on the top of the stage in the lighting rig, and sparks are shooting out of all the lights. And I assumed that Ernie and this cop were dead. They were just dead meat. But no, it all works out. This whole thing, the stage crashes, people are screaming, it's insane. We think Grandpa's dead again because the light rigging falls on him in this big debacle. Oh my God. So then the end of the movie comes and the kids have to say goodbye to Grandpa again. He's going to go out and be a real vampire now, presumably actually killing people, drinking their blood, etc. It doesn't make a lick of sense. It is so baffling. It's very teary. Earlier in the movie, I really did like when the kids were when Lonnie was actually crying over his dead grandpa before he came back. And then it has that phone call with his mom I'll be okay, Mom. Oh man, brutal. And I think that's just, the movie broke so many times. I think the funny thing about the 10 scenes that we picked out is that each time the movie came to a complete standstill and then kept going. Like, that was something else.
It's slightly episodic in its structure, let's say. Yeah.
The producers on this, two of the producers, Judith Tyre and Murray Newey, worked on a film that very unusual called Jack Be Nimble, which I don't know if you've seen that one. It's from 1993.
Yeah, so it was put out on Blu-ray pretty recently.
Yep, just came out. It is very unusual. I recommend that one. It's just very atmospheric, very kind of artsy. Maybe not kinda, maybe very artsy, but I remember liking it a lot. It was one of those ones I caught on cable and was like, what is this? That might have even been a Turner Classic Movies in the middle of the night movie.
Oh, could I mention a couple other things quick?
Please.
Just about the music in this film.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even look up the music.
Yeah. So the music is by Jim Manzi, who is a well-known composer for a bunch of different movies, including Night of the Demons 2, Blood Surf. One of my favorites, From a Whisper to a Scream. That one actually got a vinyl release recently from a few years ago from Terror Vision. What else did he do? Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw 3, Tales from the Dark Side, Stepfather 2, Make Room for Daddy.
Nice.
Jim Manzi, cool.
Damn, I dropped the ball on the music. Thank you.
But I also wanted to point out the closing song for the film. It's by Andrew Fagan, who is the ex-frontman of the New Zealand band The Mockers. And the song is called I Still Want You, and it's a total bop. I love this song.
Leetta asked me to turn it off.
I loved it. Oh man, it's like a perfect like sugary power pop song.
Oh man.
I tried to find it on YouTube or Spotify. It's not there, but Andrew Fagan himself did post the official music video on his Facebook page, so you can view it there.
I'm gonna look up the Mockers. I just assume, based on the age of the person composing, that maybe it's punk or new wave or something, or
no, I think it's sort of just like power pop.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, because I think it's somewhat similar to what you get there with with this song. Yeah,
because there's a great playlist of Aussie and New Zealand new wave and punk.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that playlist is still, I'm assuming it's still sitting up there, and it was crazy. Like, there's so many bands that never crossed over to over here. You know, they can't all be freaking split ends, you know?
It's a whole different country.
What?
Yeah.
It's the 51st state. Okay. Do we have any trivia about this movie? I could not find jack or squat about this movie.
I have a little bit about the film itself, particularly that it was first developed and produced as a children's radio program.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So Michael, what was his name? Michael Heath or something.
Yeah.
He wrote this as a play that was broadcast in New Zealand, and from there they used that as the inspiration for the screenplay. The entire all 5 episodes of it are included on the Blu-ray from Severin. I've not listened to them, but I wonder how they differ from the final film. I'd be very curious to find out. But I think maybe some of the episodic structure kind of plays in with that too. I wouldn't be surprised.
They did a little cheating and didn't fill in the gaps so good.
The other thing that I found out from the special features and such, particularly the interviews with Karen Lewis, who is Al Lewis's wife, was that he was thrilled to be a part of this movie. This was not like him slumming it or just like playing into an expected role. He was like, oh, I might actually get this role because I've been Grandpa Munster in the past. I'm already well known as a vampire. I get to do this. I get to go on vacation to New Zealand. He apparently, after he read the screenplay, he was buzzing with excitement. He was so thrilled to be a part of this. And I think you can tell.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, he really gives his all in it at his advanced age.
That absolutely makes perfect sense. This does not feel like a cash your paycheck and go home thing. He was all in for this magic. As confusing as it was.
I mean, he was also excited to have a starring role in a film, like somebody like him. You might end up on the poster art for Fright House, but you're not necessarily pulling a lot of heavy duty work. But in this film, he does, and I think he appreciated that.
But speaking of Al Lewis, his Wikipedia page has got a lot of fun stuff on it. I learned a lot about him today.
Me too.
So yeah, Al Lewis of the Munsters fame, which was a whole 2 years in the mid 60s. And then of course they had some like reboot movies that, came later. I love Munsters Go Home. I had no idea. I really, really love that movie. It's just so outlandish and bizarre. Like, speaking of not having enough plot to do a whole movie, and yet here we are. That's great. But yeah, he was a free speech proponent. He was very outspoken. Apparently, he was something of a regular on Howard Stern.
He was, yeah. I remember when he used to call in.
I was not a Howard Stern guy. I know basically the setup, and then I remember seeing the freaking biopic, and I was just like, I'm out. But he went into politics. He was a Green Party almost nominee. He actually ran under the name Grandpa.
He tried to run under the name Grandpa Al Lewis, but the court said he couldn't do it.
But he got 50,000 votes. He didn't get the nomination, but he got close.
Yeah.
Better than I would have done. They won't let me be Grandpa Richard either. He opened an Italian restaurant called Grandpa's Bella Gente.
Did he really?
Yep.
Wow. And
the only other trivia I have about him is that he lent his likeness to a video game called Midnight Mutants, which you could have played on the Atari 7800. And I believe you can play it on emulators now.
Nice.
And he's all over the artwork. He's all over it. And then in the game, he breaks in and like texts. He's looking all vampy, and then they play some text and some music.
Thirsty.
Thirsty. You defeat him by giving him a glass of water in the game. That's all I got on Al Lewis.
Yeah, I mean, this man is so interesting. I found more stuff. He had a number of jobs early in his career. Although one thing about him is that apparently he lied pretty often and made up stuff about himself. So who knows if these are all true.
Oh, I like this.
But he apparently worked as a salesman, a waiter, a pool room owner, a store detective, a circus clown and vaudeville performer, a basketball talent scout, and a hot dog vendor. This is all before acting, I believe.
Only one of those is unrealistic.
Which one is that?
The talent scout. But I mean, anybody, I suppose all you have to do is just look for tall people.
Well, apparently he was a high school basketball player and quite good at that. I don't know. That's just what he said.
For a year and a half, I played basketball every day with my best friend. And it was one-on-one, and I was hideous, but I did it. So I technically was a player of basketball at one point.
Then you discovered Kobe Bryant, right?
Yep. I saw a tall guy. So I saw LeBron James and said, "You go, man."
To secure his iconic role as Grandpa Munster, he apparently lied about his age, most likely during that audition process, because he was born in 1923, which actually makes him 1 year younger than Yvonne DiCarlo, who plays his daughter on the show.
That's amazing.
But I guess he just sort of dressed up looking old and just sort of always had an old aura to him. But that's why, when it was the 90s and he still looked basically the same, it's because, he was actually an old guy then. He was also, so another important thing about pretty much his entire life is that he was, an unapologetic, self-proclaimed communist and a labor agitator.
Nice.
He would, when he called up to Howard Stern, he would often talk about being on picket lines and fighting scabs,
Whoa.
Physically fighting. So yeah, real cool guy in that respect for sure. And one last little thing is he does have a connection to Italian horror, which of course is important for us. He had the role of assistant, this is the character's name, I guess, in Riccardo Freda's 1957 I, Vampiri. So he appears in that film. Yeah.
I gotta look for him.
Not an important role, but he is there.
Dude, I haven't seen that in years. That's incredible. Oh, I do have one thing. I found a VHS cover. I printed it out for Grandpire.
Ooh.
It was one of the alternate titles on VHS.
That's beautiful.
It says, sometimes grandparents can be a real pain in the neck. And some ghouls just want to have fun. Oh, wow. So, how do you feel about this movie, Jeffrey?
It's a perfect film. No notes.
Nice.
It's very, this is a film infected by moonlight. It is one that is dreamlike in some respects. Again, that episodic structure kind of just has us floating in and out. The main character is alive and then dies and then comes back and then drifts off. And all of these sort of experiences the kids have with him are wholesome and funny. And this is a film that if I had seen it as a kid, would have absolutely been one that I rewatched constantly. For me, it would be up there with like Little Monsters and Ernest Scared Stupid, all of those perfect children's horror films that made up such a part of my DNA. This one absolutely would have been one because it's amazing.
Yeah, I could see this being alongside. Did you say Ernest Scared Stupid?
Of course.
Yeah, it's great. It'd be wonderful. I really enjoyed this a lot. The energy pretty much stays through the whole thing, and the mind-blowing stuff is just so unbelievably mind-blowing. It's also pretty. Like, they brought the Suspiria lighting to this frickin' movie. The house is almost always just covered in gel lighting, inside and out. Like I thought, at the carnival that would be the only like kooky lighting setups in the movie. Nope, dead wrong. It looks great. Some of the jokes are perilously unfunny, but the stuff that does work, very surprising, made me laugh. The slapstick just kills. The movie's charming and then it's unsettling. Sometimes Al Lewis, as always, is just a huge pain in the ass. That is a recurring theme, and I think in his entire career. Liette and I were watching the second Kolchak movie, Kolchak the Night Strangler, not the vampire one. No, they're both vampire ones. The Strangler is also a secret vampire one, but Al Lewis has a very small part in it.
I forgot that he's in it.
Yeah. He's a homeless guy living under the streets of Seattle. And let's see what else. Yeah, I was impressed. I did ask you, like, is this the weirdest thing we've ever covered? I mean, seriously, this ranks as maybe slightly weirder, or maybe less slightly weirder than The Face with Two. I mean, was it The Face with Two Left Feet?
Two Left Feet, yeah.
Yeah, the Travolta exploitation movie we covered many years ago now.
Grandpire, not normal. Boarding House, normal.
Seriously? Yeah. I think the director, the team who made Boarding House would blink in the face of my uncle's a vampire. Not really sure what to do. They might be jealous of the production values.
Yeah.
Before we go, I wanted to have a new segment on the show where we each pick a film that we've recently seen and loved. I'm calling this segment Recently Seen and Loved. Any genre? What do you got, Jeffrey? What have you seen lately that you just loved? It could be one you revisited or even like a first-time watch. What do you got?
Yeah, so a first-time recent watch that I think thematically kind of matches up with this film pretty well, and that it's it's an extremely goofy comedy with like weird humor, but that, sort of like subtly probes at deeper themes. This one deals with loss and death in some ways, right, in the family. Right. And the one I'm going to talk about deals with themes of growing up and moving on. It is O.C. and Stiggs from 1987, the Robert Altman comedy. One of his most hated films is, I think, wonderful. I loved it.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never heard of it. That's insane.
It's so good. It was recently put on Blu-ray by Radiance Films in the UK.
Oh, cool.
And I used that as my opportunity to finally check it out. It's in that period from Altman's career when he was like interested in doing comedies and like, more overt comedies. He did this. He did like Beyond Therapy, which I think is maybe one that people hate even more than OC and Stiggs. But OC and Stiggs is great. It's about two teens who are like, oh man, it's hard to describe the sort of humor that they engage in. They are like two little Beetlejuices who are just wreaking havoc on the world. Particularly this guy in their town who is what is it? I think he works with an insurance company and is just like a real big slime ball. They like basically have dedicated their lives to like making him and his children to cause pain for them.
Whoa.
And so it's their experiences over a summer as they're just sort of like going through their random episodic adventures and causing trouble. Strongly recommend it. Most people hate it. I think you might like it though.
Oh my God. That's you could be making that up. That sounds crazy. That's basically Lonnie and Kazuura's freaking extended universe.
Yeah.
Nice. So I picked my first film I watched in 2024. I was trying to get some of those first time watches in. I love, end of the year taking a look back, and so I write down all my first time watches. And the very first film of this year was a little Japanese horror movie called Don't Look Up from 1996. Directed by Hideo Nakata. This was 2 years before Ringu. And this movie's scary as hell. It is about a movie studio that's haunted, and a film crew is in there making a wartime drama / thriller. And they are being set upon by a ghost that's taken up residence in that particular movie studio. And it's a great movie if you love movie making. Like if you just love the way that movie magic is portrayed on screen, and when they lift the veil and you see this intimate scene with these two people who are having like this emotional moment, and there's 30 crew members just outside of the frame making this whole magic happen. The fact that Ringu is so lauded, which is a great film. I think Ringu is a perfect film, but yet for some reason Don't Look Up has been forgotten. It does have an open-ended ending. And I think that might be why some people don't talk about it more, because it leaves your imagination going. And that's a fine line with horror movie audiences. They get real upset if you don't explain the mechanics of stuff. But man, I highly recommend Don't Look Up. It is, if you love Ringu, you will love Don't Look Up. It is great.
I don't think I've ever heard of anybody bring it up before. So yeah, I need to check it out.
It's just complete. I love movies about movie theaters. I love what is that one with John Goodman? Matinee. And I love movies about making movies. Like that stuff's just like, especially when it's done really well, where it's cynical in the way that it reveals the mechanics, but it's heartfelt in that you see people like really putting their all into it. So.
Nice.
And like I said, it scared me. It's it got me good. That's it, man. We did it. Congrats to us. Did you have anything you wanted to promote while you were here? Did you have any like sick URLs to drop? www.mustache.org.
Yeah, man. Check out my podcast. It's called Super Chillers.
Oh yeah.
And you can follow it on most platforms at super_chillers. And you can check it out on any podcast. Probably not any, but like most podcast providers. If you type in Super Chillers, we talk about retro YA teen horror from the 80s and the 90s. And you know what? It's fun stuff. It's funny. I make jokes. Man. There's a lot of preparation that goes into it. It's a hard podcast to make. I even edit it. Wow. You should listen to this podcast.
I'm so sorry for your loss of time. God. Folks, I am a huge fan. I'm so mad at how much better Super Chillers is than this show. I listened to those episodes numerous times. Him and his Jeffrey and his co-host Katie, they are so like the rapport is great, and they just love the material, even when the material is kind of unlovable. they really bring it, and
You know,
I've started reading YA horror novels. I never read them when I was the age range. So
you're welcome.
I'm going back and reading stuff, and it's fun as hell.
Yeah, Katie and I are a real Lonnie and Kenziora, and you are our Grampire.
Well, same body type, for sure.
Same bucket hat.
Same athletic ability and sunglasses. All right, folks. Thanks for listening, and
see you later, mashed potato.
Oh, goodbye to you in Auckland.
Dream weird, everybody.
Ooh. Wait, is that the magic flute? That's my ringtone. I gotta go. Folks, thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you'd like to write into the show, send an email to doomedmoviethon@gmail.com or hit us up at doomedmoviethon on Instagram or at doomedmoviethon on Twitter or at doomedmoviethon at Discord, or go to Hello This Is the Doomed Show on Facebook and message us there. If you want more Hello This Is the Doomed Show, go to doomedmoviethon.com and click the podcast button for the archive, or go to YouTube and look up Doomed Moviethon and you'll find the classic episodes of Hello, This Is the Doomed Show. And if that's still not enough, I have written some books, about my love of movies over on Amazon.com. Just look up Richard Glenn Schmidt and you'll find Giallo Meltdown, a Moviethon Diary, Giallo Meltdown 2, Cinema Somnambulist, or Doomed Moviethon, the book. Hello, This Is the Doomed Show is a proud member of the Legion Podcast Network. Go to legionpodcast.com and check out the other great shows over there.